How do national perspectives shape World War history? Imagine trying to understand a story told from many different viewpoints. Each country involved in the World Wars saw the events through its own eyes, which changed how they remember and teach history. Countries often focus on what matters most to them. For example, nations that fought in the wars highlight their own sacrifices and victories. This means they might emphasize battles they won or the hardships their soldiers endured. Take the United States, for instance. Americans often remember their role in winning World War I and World War II. They might focus on events like the Normandy invasion or the signing of peace treaties. But they might not talk as much about the sacrifices made by other allied countries like Britain or Canada. Meanwhile, Russia remembers the war in Europe with pride, especially battles like the siege of Stalingrad. They see these as turning points that showed their resilience and strength. These different stories come from what we call collective memory. It is the shared way a group remembers its past. Education, media, and politics all influence this memory. Sometimes, a country's story is centered on its own interests, which can lead to conflicting versions of the same event. For example, Western countries might focus on the D-Day landings, while Russia emphasizes the Battle of Stalingrad. Both are true, but each country chooses what to highlight based on its perspective. National views also shape how people understand why the wars happened and what they meant. The United States often sees its entry into World War I as defending democracy after the sinking of the Lusitania. In World War II, the attack on Pearl Harbor is seen as a sudden threat that made the United States join the fight. These stories help shape national identity and how people see their country's role in the world. These different memories also affect current international relations. For example, Russia's view of the Second World War influences its relations with neighboring countries. Similarly, disputes between Turkey and Armenia are partly rooted in differing historical narratives about the wars. Recognizing these differences helps us understand why countries might see the same events in very different ways today. Knowing about these varying perspectives can help us have better conversations across cultures. It reminds us that history is not just one story but many stories shaped by each nation's experiences and values. When we look at history from multiple angles, we get a fuller picture of what really happened and why it still matters today. Understanding how national perspectives influence the story of the world wars helps us see how history continues to shape our world.